Now, what if an ingredient to this browning recipe is missing? That could quite possibly be wrong. Huh? Uh-huh. In the last 50 years or so, many American cities have had difficulties in maintaining a successful retail environment. Business owners in the city centers or the downtown areas have experienced some financial losses because of the city movement of the people out of the city and then into suburbs. In general, downtown areas, just as many residential areas, know that many people live there. So, what did the city planners decide to do about it? Well, one way they've come up with some ways to attract more people to shop downtown was by creating pedestrian malls. Now, what is a pedestrian mall? It's a pretty simple concept, really. It is essentially an outdoor shopping area designed just for people on foot. And well, unlike many other shopping malls that are built in several nowadays, these pedestrian malls are typically located in the downtown area of the city. And they're featured like white sidewalks, comfortable outdoor seating, and maybe even for a foreign, out. They're a variation of the model, of course, but the creating a shopping space where shopping the city having a narrow ceramic automated traffic with street in the automated was really noisy and freezing the traffic congestions. Now the concept of which originated in Europe was adopted by American city probably in the 1950s. And since then, a number of United States cities have created the pedestrian mode, and many of them have been highly successful. So, what does the city planner learn about making these modes succeed? Well, there are two critical factors to consider when creating the pedestrian mode: location and design, both of which are equally important. Now, let's start with location. In choosing a specific location for pedestrian mode, there are in fact two considerations: proximity to potential customers, that will call it customer base, and accessibility to public transportation, which we will get into in just a moment. Now, for customer base, the most obvious example would be a large office building, since the employees could theoretically go shopping after work. Another really good example is the convention center, which typically has a hotel and large meeting spaces, major conferences in the event. But ideally, the pedestrian mall will be used by local residents, not just people working in the city or visiting the area, so that's where access to the public transportation comes in. Is that it? Uh, how, like a, ooh, sufficient parking areas not too far from the mall. Which way? Whatever design, well, design doesn't necessarily include things like sculptures or decorative walkways or even eye-catching window displays, art. Although I will is the first to admit those things are aesthetic appealing. However, visually pleasing sights, while they're not a part of visual modern, the key consideration is a compact and convenient layout, one which allows a pedestrian to walk from one end of the mall to the other in just a few minutes. They can get the major stores, restaurants, and other central places without having to take more than one or two turns. Now this takes careful and creative planning. But now what if one ingredient to this funny recipe is missing? There could quite possibly be long-lasting effect, and I think a good example is a pedestrian mall is Louisville Creative Keeper. Now, in one mall it was built, it has a lot of visual appeal. It was attractively designed, right in the small part of the downtown, and it pretty much presents all the same elements for success. But now here is my point about the location comes into play. There wasn't a convention center around to help join visitors, and was only nearby hotel eventually closed down for the same reason. Well, you can imagine how this mall affected local and pedestrian malls business or sort of was we call a chain reaction. It wasn't until the convention center and the parking garage was built about decades later that the mall started to be successful. 結構むずいよ。To be